Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. It's presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Appreciate those guys so much, and appreciate you. People have been listening all over the country, and I couldn't be happier. I'm Robert Wakefield. I'm president of Branch 32. Thank you so much. That's right. All right, we got another great show for you, so go ahead and let's pour that first cup. Rain, shine, or snow, postal workers deliver every single day. And on National Postal Employee Appreciation Day, the Nashville Post Office Credit Union wants to say thank you to the people who keep our community connected. Join us on July 1st for Burgers and Hot Dogs, a community blood drive with a $10 gift card for every donor, and special giveaways, including $101 gift cards as we celebrate 101 years of serving our members. Come on out, grab a bite, give back, and let us appreciate you. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our first cup this morning, we are thrilled to have yet another candidate that's running for office. This is called Caffeine and Candidates. That's the name of this series. And today we have on our program Dan Mooney. And Dan, it is great to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, it's great to be here, Robert. As I was saying before, you have the golden voice and the podcast, and I am just honored to be able to debut with you today.
Well, that's fabulous, and yes, the $5 bill is on its way, so thanks for saying that. That's really, really good. All right, so Dan, you and I have had a chance to meet probably a couple of times, and you are currently the North Central area vice president, which is Minnesota, North and South Dakota, and Wisconsin. How long have you been doing that?
Well, Robert, I was elected in San Diego in 2014. I was honored and privileged to run, and the members voted me in. Mm-hmm. So I am coming up on 12 years as a North Central Area Vice President, and I reside in the great city of Minneapolis and the great state of Minnesota.
Very good, very good. Now, let me ask you this. How long have you been in NAPS?
I have been in NAPS for 37 years now, Robert. I started in a post office in 1985. I carried mail for about 3.5 years. I had a business degree, and I decided that I wanted to utilize that, and so I jumped over into management and joined NAPS shortly after that, and have been in NAPS since then.
That's so good. That is so good. So, listen, you're running for, you're not going to be running for the North Central area this time. This time you're
Correct.
Running for a national office. How big of a change, campaign-wise, is that from going from an area to a nationwide campaign?
Well, I tell you, it expanded the territory on me quite a bit.
Yes, it did.
So I went from 4 states, as you said, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North and South Dakota. So I went to 50 states. So I have been crisscrossing the country, flying thousands of miles, driving thousands of miles, showing my commitment to NAPS and preaching how I believe I can help be the National Secretary Treasurer.
Okay, so let's go there. I want to talk about why you think that you are the best candidate to be our National Secretary Treasurer.
Well, let me back up just a little bit, Robert. When I was on the executive board, I don't know if you remember, we went to fact finding back in 2019.
I do remember that.
And yeah, we had a pay package. We were not we weren't liking it too much, and our first recourse was to go to fact finding. And I was the chairperson for 8 years for the PFP, Paper Performance NPA Committee on the executive board.
Okay.
And President Brian Wagner called me into NAP's headquarters to testify at that fact finding.
Wow.
And so I went in under oath and testified to the 3-panel of the arbitration panel. And as you probably know, we came out victorious 3-0. And a lot of that did have to do with, I have to say, the testimony that I gave to showed how flawed NPA was.
Sure.
So, so that I'm rather proud of the fact that, and that kind of catapulted us into the lawsuit that we're currently waiting to see.
Exactly.
But
and that's great to know, Dan, because I did not know that you were on that committee. I had no idea.
Yeah, and since its inception in 2016, because for years we were getting taken to the cleaners on NPA, and I kind of self-taught myself, and it's a very complex, complicated program. It has 600,000 metrics to it.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, that's all. And so, but we needed to step in and take that challenge, and that's what I did. I stepped up and took the challenge as the chairperson of that committee for 8 years under 2 presidents.
Okay, that is so good. That is awesome. So now tell me, you've been crisscrossing the country, and you've got kind of some points that you've been wanting to really hone in for the membership so that they'll vote for you for National Secretary Treasurer. So what are those?
Okay, so I kind of look at this position as being kind of the CFO, if you will, Robert, of NAPS. I look at the members are the shareholders and the investors. They pay the dues, and they're looking for a return on their investment. And that's how I'm kind of looking at this from a CFO perspective. And so with that, what I'm looking to do is increase revenues and hold the line or decrease on expenses, because that's the general accounting for it. So exactly. My outlook then, that I want to do, is I want to increase, number one, increase membership. We have about 20,000 EAS that are not members right now. Okay. And I want to set a goal that we would net increase that by 1,000 members. Okay. And if we're successful in doing that, Robert, that will generate an extra $200,000 to put into NAPS's coffers. And of course, if you do the math on that, and with a due structure with headquarters taking $7.50, the branches are usually going to take $7.50 or more away from that new member also. Correct. So not only will that put $200,000 in NAPS's coffers, that will put $200,000 or more into the branches' coffers. Okay. So it's a win-win situation for NAPS headquarters and for the branches. And so how am I going to help do that? What I want to do is, we have a social media consultant, Karina, that we contract with. I want to sit down with her on day one, and I want to develop social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube that will attract and incentivize Gen Zs and millennials to join NAPS.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So that's our future. We're trying to get, some younger folks in the door and signed up. And so I also want to utilize the QR code to the extent possible, because we aren't doing that right now. We aren't using a QR code on our non-member packets. We aren't using a QR code on social media. So perhaps we could have a QR code that says, if you want to learn more about DDF, click click on the QR code, and it'll take them to a page that will educate them and tell them about the DDF.
Okay.
So again, then what I also want to do is I want to set up a tracking system to track the 1187s as they come in the $25 sponsor checks. Because you and I both know the sooner we get these people on board, the sooner we start collecting money, the sooner it comes into NAPS, the sooner it comes into the branches.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so we can see where any hiccups are. So that's kind of my number one thing, is how to increase the membership with NAPS, and I put some numbers to it.
Okay.
So number two, I'm looking at the budget, and not a lot of people were doing that. They were looking at increase in revenues, but the budget is our expenses, and I want to take a look at that. It's about a $6 million budget. I've already taken a look at it. I want to work with our accountant, Jack Wallace. There's about 120 general ledger line items to that. I want to work with Jack Wallace and get a defined definition of each one of those line items that we don't have right now. Then I want to start looking at what is a fixed cost, what is a discretionary expense, and for every 1% reduction, I can create $60,000 savings for NAPS.
Okay.
And so it sounds 1%, but it's $60,000. So I'm going to task myself with trying to save up to 5% on that budget, which again puts $300,000 more back into NAPS's coffers.
I love that. That's good.
So yeah, so that's number three, or number two. Number three is the building. So right now the building is in a negative cash flow, and of course I just want to work on getting that back into a positive cash flow. So every dollar that we can move from a negative cash flow to a positive cash flow helps the bottom line.
There you go.
Okay. So, and the fourth one is the investments. We have about $8 million in our investments right now, Robert, and that's handled by PNC. They're the experts. We're getting about 6 to 7% return on that.
Okay.
That means that creates in the vicinity of $500,000 in interest for us. And my goal is to try to work towards not using any of those investment funds to balance the budget.
Right.
For years, we had done that. Last year, our fiscal year that ended May 31st of this past year, 2026, we did not use any funds. And that was great. Jimmy Warden's done a great job. But this year that we're in right now, we are on schedule to use over $400,000 of that investment fund to balance the budget.
Right.
And again, I just want to get back to the point where the investment fund isn't used to balance the budget to the degree possible. It would be great if we didn't have to use it at all.
That's so good, Dan. That's really good stuff. And it sounds like to me that this is something that you've been working on for quite some time. These are some very thought-provoking ideas you have.
Well, and Robert, I didn't go into this blind, and I had a lot of people on the executive board and a lot of people that said, should this position open up, will you run? And I have analytical skills with working with the NPA, working with some of my past jobs, and I was paying attention to what's going on financially. So I wanted to have a plan so that the people, I don't speak in generalities, I speak in specifics, and I have a plan with numbers attached to it. So I want to.
That's really, really good. That's really good. So in the next minute or so that we have left in the podcast, what is the one thing, why are you the candidate that we should vote for coming up in August?
Well, again, I have my head around the budget. I have my head around the membership. I have my head around the finances of the company. I've worked closely with Jimmy. And I just think that with my background and my analytical skills, that I am the best candidate in order to step in with day one with a plan to increase your return on investments. And that's why I'm going to ask the members to trust Mooney with your money and elect me in San Francisco this August as your National Secretary Treasurer.
Dan, it has been a pleasure having you on the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. One more question, and it's coffee related. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you drink coffee?
I drink coffee. Okay. Yes, I do.
The question I have been asking people are, do you drink it straight or in black, or do you drink it with cream and sugar?
For the most part, Robert, I am just straight up black. But once I have a few, then I tend to cut it down a little bit with a little bit of cream.
I love that. And see, you people that can drink it straight like that, drink it black, I can't. It's just, I cannot do it. It's just too strong. But it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today, Dan. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Robert, I really appreciate you giving me the time, and, I wish you well and wish you success, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Francisco.
We'll see you there, buddy. Thanks again.
All right, Robert, take care.
The bell is about to ring on a brand new school year, and our local classrooms could use a little extra boost. At this year's Back to School Bash, we're coming together to support the students and the educators who make our community stronger. You can help by donating the essentials our kids need the most: crayons, glue sticks, pencils, and paper. Your generosity makes a world of difference for a child walking into class prepared and confident. Let's start the school year right together. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. For the second cup today, this is my favorite patriotic song. If this doesn't put you in the mood of hot dogs, hamburgers, fireworks, and watermelon, then you're totally un-American and you don't belong in this country. Well, happy 4th of July to each and every one of you, and I want to thank Dan Mooney for being on the show today. He's running for National Secretary Treasurer, so you'll want to remember his name as we go to the election at the convention in San Francisco. All right, that's going to do it for today. So thanks so much for listening to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. And remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.